everyone. Thanks for showing up for your learning. We're taking a look at the first couple questions of the trigonometry practice test. If you want to find related acute angles, you want to imagine what angle does this make with the x-axis. That's the related acute angle. So let's find that. Draw your xy plane. Go 325 degrees. That's almost all the way to 360, but not quite. And draw your angle. And then zoom in if you're able. Right? And notice that if that's 325 degrees, then this angle here, we'll call it theta. 325 plus theta equals 360. So go ahead and take 360 and subtract 325 and find that theta is equal to 35 degrees there, folks. All right. So that's how that one would be done. What is the significance of a 35-degree angle, you might ask? Well, that would be this angle up here, 35 degrees. And you would find that it has the same trigonometric ratios as the other angle, except tangent will have the opposite sign and sine will have the opposite sign, meaning they'll both be positive instead of being negative because of your cast rule. Okay? But otherwise, like the values are the same. All right, now what about 167 degrees? Again, have your visualization and then go 167 degrees. That's this angle here. And then say, well, what angle is that making with the x-axis? That will be my related acute angle. And so then you might say, well, let's call this beta. And you would say beta plus 167 degrees is equal to 180. And then you could rearrange that to find that beta equals 13 degrees. So that's how those are done, right? You want to be able to do that so that you can also do this one. But as I've recommended to many of you, have this on your cheat sheet. And then it's really a cheating sheet because it makes these questions super easy. Okay, you just have to remember that the cosine and the sine are given by the x value and the y value of those points respectively around the unit circle. So if you look at any of those x values of those points, that's the value of cosine for that angle. If you look at the y values of those points, that's the value of sine for those angles. Okay, so let's take a look at the first question. Sine 30 degrees. 300 degrees, sorry. Look, sine 300 degrees. Read it correctly. And then find 300 on there. Notice that the y value is negative root 3 over 2. And then proudly write down negative root 3 over 2 on your test. All right? Just that easy. Okay, but what if you didn't have the unit circle because you're someone that never prepares a good cheat sheet? You would go ahead and create tan 135. So we're going to draw a 135 degree angle. That's going up there. And we recognize that the related acute angle will be 45 degrees. So we can put inside here this triangle. This triangle. Sound effects are optional, of course. And it's a right angle. This is 45 degrees here because this was 135. And this side length down here, call it 1. This side length, call it 1. That side length is root 2. Okay, so tangent of 135. Oh, but wait, this is important. This one is negative because it's going in the negative x direction. So if you just remember that this is still the x-axis and that's still the y-axis and everything you know about points is still the same, then you can remember that that's negative 1. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that's 1 over negative 1, which is otherwise known as negative 1. Please give me the answer as negative 1, not 1 over negative 1. Because 1 over negative 1 gives me the idea you're still confused about fractions for some reason. Secant. Oh my goodness, what's secant 225? Well, first, I would recommend draw a 225 degree angle. There it is there. All right, that's 225 degrees. And we can put inside there this same triangle because it's also 45 degrees to the x-axis. It's 180 plus 45 is 225. So put that triangle in there, imagine it, visualize it, see it in there. That's the right angle. This is -1, this is -1, and this is still root 2. Okay. -1, root 2. Okay, secant is related to cosine. Okay, so secant 225 is equal to 1 over cosine of 225. Or, let's write it this way, cosine to the -1 of 225, meaning flip the value of that. All right, so let's find cosine first, and then we'll just flip it over. All right, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. This one is on top, and that one is on the bottom. So you could write it this way, 1 over root 2, but it's negative. But you could also just say, well, I know cosine, so I'm going to flip it. And you just say that it's equal to negative root 2. Negative root 2 over 1, or root 2 over -1. But just write it this way so that you're not adding a whole bunch of extra non-important information. Cosecant of 30. Well, that one is probably the easiest one on the page, because we can just imagine our 30, 60, 90 triangle. We know that it's going to be positive because it's in the first quadrant, so we don't need to worry about signs. 30, 60, 90, and if this is 2, this is 1, and this is root 3 in this type of triangle because of Pythagorean theorem. If you're saying, how do you remember those numbers? My answer might be, well, I do because I talk about this a lot, but I don't care because I can find them really fast if I ever forget. So don't feel helpless, just solve your own problems. So anyway, cosecant is 1 over sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So this will be flipped that. This is just equal to 2. 2 over 1 is 2. Okay, so that's it. All right, let's actually do the third question in this video as well. Given these trigonometric ratios, find 2 possible angles between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay, so cosine theta is equal to root 3 over 2. Here's the way you do it if you want to cheat. You go over here and you go ahead and you look for root 3 over 2 for the x value. And I see it there at 30 and at 330. Those are the answers. You just read them on the unit circle. Okay, but maybe you didn't prepare a unit circle, so you couldn't just say theta equals 30 degrees or 330 degrees. Maybe you didn't have your unit circle ready. So what you can do is visualize. I know that if I have this triangle here, 30 degrees, then that would be 2, that would be root 3, and that would be 1. So that gives me a trigonometric ratio of cosine 30 degrees is equal to root 3 over 2. So therefore, theta could be 30 degrees. But I also remember that because of CAST rule, the cosine is going to be positive there and there. So there's another answer in the fourth quadrant, which is 360 minus 30 degrees. And that will also have an answer of root 3 over 2. And then, if you're still not sure, use your calculator and check. Don't ask me during the test to tell you if it's right or wrong. I'm going to look at you with a strange expression on my face and walk away kind of sideways. This is what you can do. You can say 330 degrees, and then I take the cosine of it. Turns out to be positive 8.866. Okay, cool. So then I take 3 and I say take the square root of it, and I divide that by 2, and I get the same thing. And then I can also do 30 degrees and take the cosine of it and see the same thing. So all of those are different ways of doing that. Okay, so is 330 or 330 degrees. Okay, so that's how that's done. Now, what about cosecant is negative root 2? Okay, well, cosecant is equal to 1 over sine theta. So that tells me that 1 over sine theta is equal to negative root 2. Let's flip both sides of the equation. Sine theta is equal to negative 1 over root 2. See, I took this fraction and I flipped it. And now I go ahead and look for these for the y values on my unit circle. I can tell you where they are already. They're at 135. Sorry, no, they're at 225 and 315. There they are. 225, see, minus root 2 over 2, and 315, root 2 minus root 2 over 2 for the y value. Oh, but Mr. Jennings, that was negative root 2 over 2. Yeah, I know that that's how they wrote it on their unit circle, but I'm telling you, that's the same thing as that. And I've shown you that in class, and I've warned you, and I've told you some calculators are going to give you this one. Some calculators are going to give you that one. I like this one. I prefer it. But a lot of people prefer that one. And that's probably the math style points one because of the way math used to be done when we were using slide rules. We're not using slide rules anymore. I've never used a slide rule myself, so that one's fine. But they're the same value. They're both exact. So this is fine. So therefore, theta equals 315 or 225. And if you want to build that yourself, well, you go ahead and you'd say, I noticed a root 2. I remember that the 45-degree triangle has root 2's in it. That'd be root 2, that'd be root 2, and that'd be 2. Okay? And that's where you can get your root 2 over 2. Or you can also draw this triangle this way. This is a 1, and this is 1 over root 2. And this is 1 over root 2. And these triangles are similar. So you can do that, and that's your 45-degree triangle. And then you're like, but I want the opposite to this angle to be negative. So I better put it underneath the x-axis. So it's in either the third or the fourth quadrant. That's a 45-degree angle. So 315 or 225, like figure them out. You have to have been practicing this and visualizing this and learning this if you want to do it. Okay? And once you can do it, it's pretty straightforward, particularly if you have a good unit circle and you know how to read it. All right. So any questions, hit me up by email. Otherwise, thank you for showing up for your learning. And also make sure that your cheat sheet is handwritten by you, not a printout of this. Okay. At least handwrite that so that I know that you've gotten some reps in and you've thought about it a little bit. Okay. Bye for now, everyone.